Hey everyone, I'm Andrea and I'm sharing really quickly 3 must-haves if you're going to get better from chronic illness. I'm someone who has recovered better than average from a list of autoimmune diseases and a systemic infection that may have been Lyme disease. So I have learned a little bit along the way about how to recover from long-term illness and some tips and tricks that you could apply to your own situation. I realize I may be talking to people with anything from RA to Lyme to chronic digestive issues and autoimmune conditions, chronic diseases that affect your day-to-day life, your pain level, your health, and if you're not careful, your overall happiness. So my number 1 tip is you need to actually believe you can get better. This is pretty tricky when you maybe have been told you can't, that there's no known cure, when you've read things online about statistics, but I guarantee you with most of these chronic conditions there are so many factors that are still being explored, and there are statistics that show that in general people who believe they can get better are more likely to than people who believe they cannot. So however likely or unlikely it seems, make sure you're feeding your brain the right information, because you may have heard even from a professional, a doctor, that there's no way out of this or that it won't get better, but you can even find different accounts, different testimonies and information from different sources. And if you're hearing conflicting information, you get to choose who you want to believe. And in my case, it helped me a lot to choose to believe that it was possible to heal and to get better from some of these things that on paper look incurable. Number 2, you need your own research and advocacy. I would highly recommend not relying on anyone other than yourself to be your primary advocate. And it's a huge advantage to gather knowledge, to learn and to gain wisdom about the thing you're dealing with. Now, it is tricky because the more you read about it, the more tempted you may feel to be afraid, or even to imagine the worst case scenario that you read about somewhere happening to you. We have to refuse to do all of that, but still learn information as much as we can. Just because you're not a doctor doesn't mean you shouldn't be reading the studies and the latest information and listening to the podcasts. I'll share some links below to podcasts that have helped me and really smart functional medicine practitioners and nutritionists. There are steps we can take, and we have to learn what's going to work before we do what's going to work. And there are things that can help and work. We just have to learn about them and not necessarily rely on a doctor that you see once a month for 5 to 10 minutes to solve your complicated body problem, your long-term multifaceted condition. It's unrealistic. We are in charge of our bodies and we are in charge of our recovery. So put in the time, put in the energy whenever you can to learn what you can. It really does help. Number 3, this may not be the most popular one, but I really think it'll help. It's self-control. Now, I realize this isn't the most popular term and it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of self-discipline, but self-control is something that really helped me get better. In fact, I know some people personally who are struggling with various autoimmune conditions and not having as good a luck with making any progress or getting off any medication or any other goals they might have, just being able to do their life on a higher, better level. And it's all because of self-control. They know the right information. Some of them even work in the medical field, but there's a mental shift that has to happen that we actually start doing what we know to do. And it's very hard, especially these things that are habits we've had our whole lives and now we have to change them. Like, for instance, our diet or other ways we've been living that have contributed to our health problems. Maybe it's sleep patterns or ways we deal with emotions or substances that we should no longer use. Whatever it is to get ourselves to a better spot, it takes a lot of self-control, and you're going to have to find it within yourself because the people around you just don't have to do it. I have to have way more self-control in certain areas of life than everyone around me, and it's not fair and it's not easy, but it does help me live my life on a higher level. I'm pain-free and lower my inflammation and have more energy and sleep better when I exercise self-discipline with things like my diet and my everyday habits and choices. So as you learn what those are for you, make sure you apply self-control. Nobody can do it for you, but I believe in you guys, you can do it. Those are my 3 must-haves as you continue to recover and get better every day. God bless you guys.